How much insurance do I really need to buy for my business? What if I'm required to carry more insurance than my general liability policy or my auto liability policy or my work comp policy provides currently? What can I do? Today, I want to talk to you about umbrella liability insurance, how these policies work, uh, what, how you should go about buying them, especially if you're a startup contractor versus maybe a more seasoned contractor. And then I'll talk about cost and how that is determined. And at the very end, I'm going to share a tip with you about umbrella insurance and a very common misconception. So stay tuned. Hey, if you're new to the channel, the Business Insurance Playbook channel, thanks for joining us. If you've watched our videos before, welcome back. My name is Micah Salas. I'm an insurance agent, have over 13 years of experience helping construction companies really buy insurance better, more effectively, and to manage risk and surety needs and all that good stuff. Do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel so we can get the word out there. All right, let's get into this. So what is umbrella insurance? Basically, it's additional limits of insurance, of liability insurance, and that's what it is. Additional limits of liability insurance, right? It's designed to sit over in excess of some specific policies. General liability insurance is one policy that would be covering you for claims for bodily injury cause or property damage that you cause. You have $1 million of general liability insurance, your umbrella would sit over the top of that, right? For whatever limit you buy. Then another policy it sits over is your auto liability insurance, right? You have a lot of vehicles on the road, you have employees driving for you, the umbrella would sit over in excess of that. Your auto liability limit is typically $1 million as well if you're buying commercial policies. The other policy that it sits over is employer's liability. This is workers' comp part 2. This is claims from like pain and suffering. An employee dies on your job site and their spouse sues for maybe loss of companionship, right? So there's $1 million limit there. The umbrella sits over that. I've also seen umbrellas sit over pollution liability policies sometimes, right? For pollution related events. So that's really what an umbrella is designed to do. Now, how much limit should you buy or what limit's appropriate? This really just depends on a couple different factors. The first is, what's the net worth of your company, right? Like if you're just a startup, you really don't have a ton of value in that company. Why would you really even buy an umbrella? Maybe you don't buy an umbrella because you have $1 million limit of your GL, of your auto, of your work comp that you're buying. That might be enough. When you really want to start to look at buying an umbrella or increasing your limits is when you have more to lose. So when your company's net worth is higher and you're like, man, I don't want to lose this, if I don't want a major lawsuit to put us under. Well, then that's when you look at an umbrella, right? And higher limits. Now the limits you can buy can be any amount. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 million, right? It's going to get really expensive and really difficult to get limits once you start to try to procure limits over, $10 million. But it can be done. So that's just important to understand. Umbrella insurance has gotten very expensive, and so in certain industries, and so people are actually buying less limits now because they're just like, well, I'll just kind of roll the dice, and hopefully we don't have a major umbrella claim. Another thing that's driving umbrella costs to go higher is that on the flip side, more claims are actually going through that first $1 million layer due to inflation and getting into the umbrella layer. So that's driving up umbrella claims, which is driving up costs, and those carriers are passing them back to consumers. So that's why you're seeing cost of umbrellas go higher. What is umbrella based on? What's the premium based on? It's the underlying policies, right? So it's based on your underlying GL, and it's based heavily on your underlying auto. The funny thing is, even though it sits over your employer's liability work comp part 2 policy, there's no cost to actually make sure that's scheduled under there. I have seen agents forget to put that under the umbrella policy, and anytime I've added it, there's never been a cost. So make sure that your policy, your umbrella policy on the declaration page shows the policies that you want listed under there, including workers' comp. So your cost, like I said, it's going to vary. Obviously, the higher limit you buy, the more expensive it's going to be. And the key is, I always tell people, you don't want to buy more than you really need. The other thing I'm seeing with with businesses that are buying insurance generally, or umbrellas, especially contractors, you're buying it because you have to. So one tip I wanted to give you is, if you're a startup contractor, cash is kind of tight, and you're looking to save costs, you'll get a vendor you want to work for, and they'll say, hey, we want a $5 million umbrella, right? On top of your general liability and everything else. So really $6 million of limit. I encourage you, push back on that, right? Go. It doesn't hurt to ask. I've had clients get that waived and say, hey, this is the type of work we're doing. It's way less risky. Can we just carry $1 million umbrella? You'll be surprised how often people will acquiesce and will work with you on that stuff. All right, so I never specifically mentioned cost because it's going to vary all over the place. Depends on how many vehicles you have, what your sales are, what your premiums are on the policies underneath. But umbrellas, I would say on the minimum for $1 million umbrella, probably, $1,500, $2,000 if you're a tiny company. But generally speaking, $1 million umbrella for a contractor, if you're doing 5 million to 20 million in sales, you're probably talking 10 to 15,000 for $1 million umbrella, right? And then it's going to keep going up. The last thing on cost is that the cost should start to come down the higher you get up the ladder, right? So your first $1 million you buy is going to be the most expensive, and then as you layer up, the odds of getting into those higher umbrellas is lower, so cost should come down a little bit. But anyways, so let me end on this. The last thing is, sometimes people buy umbrella insurance and they think this covers everything. That's not how umbrella insurance works. It doesn't cover everything. Again, it only covers the policies that it's scheduled to sit over, which you have to go to your declaration page and actually look at what those policies are. And typically, it should always be your general liability. Your auto liability should be under there, but if you're a business and you don't want to have that under there, you could actually technically not schedule that under there, and then your workers' comp and your pollution potentially. So that's what an umbrella covers. There's exclusions in umbrella policies, just like there is in the underlying policy. So make sure you're looking through those exclusions as well, and don't let that come back to bite you. Hey, that's all I got for you. If you have any questions, you're a contractor, you're out there trying to make ends meet, running a business, trying to buy insurance better, having headaches, a terrible experience, give me a call. Shoot me a message. We can exchange our numbers. I'd be happy to help you out. Thanks.